Hey everyone, is this the National Champions deck profile? Oh no, it's just top 8. Never mind. Stick around. Hey everyone, it is the Irish God. We are back from ARG Nationals. I ended up finishing top 8 with the boys Spike Brothers. Finished X1 in teams, going top 4, and then also X1 in Swiss in singles, and finishing in top 8 at Nationals on Sunday. And of course, our good old starter here that we were running for the deck is the new Mecha Trainer. Even though old Mecha Trainer is amazing and lets you search for heals, the great consistency that was added with V Mecha Trainer, just even though it's only drawing a card, can make a huge difference between a hand that does not have Seafried or a key combo piece or Spike Bouncer and not having it. So I thought that this was too important not to have in this deck. For triggers, I was running 4 critical triggers, the Silence Joker, and then, surprise, surprise, another 4 Sonic Breakers. So for a total of 8 crits in this deck. I decided that I picked up this deck about 2 weeks before Nationals, and the best thing to do is go Unga Bunga, me check yellow card, and just try to win by checking crits. I think this worked out fine for the day, because a lot of the decks that I ran against was a lot of Royals, and my beatdown was just better than their beatdown because of these crits. I think Proof in his video, you should definitely check it out, his winning national deck list used Stans, the Mecha Instructor, which I think was great against stuff like OTT Gize and a lot of the slower decks in the format, but these were just fine based on the decks that I found. So I think it's very much a meta call, depending on what you think you're going to face in a tourney. And I personally think that this was the right choice for what I faced, so I think everything worked out all right there. Then we have our good 4 draw PGs. This deck is going to lose anyways to OTT, Ichikishima, and so I was just like, might as well just go all in on the draw PGs and save myself the grade 1 space because there's some really great grade 1s in this deck. Heals, we have 4 of the new heal, Tiara. I am about the same, I think, on this and the old Dudley heal. I think this one is slightly better just in case you are caught in a pinch and need the 20k shield early in the game. Although if they are rushing you down, you are probably about to clap them back really hard. For the grade 1s, we were running 4 Commander Gary Gannon. Gary is absolutely amazing in his new form. He, when the attack that he boosted hits a Vanguard, you can put him into Soul, draw 2 cards, and then put one of the cards in your hand on the bottom of your deck. And so this guy is just great for fixing your hand early in the game. Let's say you end up with just something absolutely god-awful. Shoot Gary into the Soul and try to fix that up. And so he really gets you going early in the game to kind of set up that amazing hand for either Agrius or even Seafried on grade 3. The next grade 1, we have 4 of the Wonder Bread, or Wonder Boy. This guy is another amazing grade 1. When he's placed, put a non-grade 1 card from your drop zone on the bottom of your deck, and this unit gets plus 5k until end of turn. A really important thing that I realized just before going into Nats is always Soul Blast out your Mecha Trainer when you use Spike Bouncer so that you actually have a target for Wonder Boy early in the game. It's very important. And so he can get his extra power boost. And then he also has this effect that is shared by Brocky and Juggernaut in this deck, which is at the beginning of the main phase. Put him into the Soul and search your deck for another copy of himself. So he basically becomes a 13k recurring booster for your field. For every turn, and also cycles back stuff like triggers or extra Brockies or Juggernauts. Let's say you're running low on them during the game. So he's a really, really good combo piece for the deck, and very, very important. Then we also have 3 Acrobat Verdi, because this is a premium deck, and you need Stride Fodder. There's not a whole lot to be said here. And finally, for the grade 1s, we have 3 Gyro Slinger. He's the new form. When he's placed, put a card from your hand into the Soul, look at the same number of cards from the top of your deck as your Vanguard's grade, and call up to one of them, and then the unit that you called gets plus 5k power. He is, I think, probably one of the weakest points in this deck. Usually you would only use him in a pinch. Let's say you had, I know there was one instance during this tournament that I had 3 Siegfrieds in my opening hand, and I was never going to use those. And he's also a little bit risky on the ride to try to put something to soul and call just the top deck of the card. So it can be quite risky. Where he really does shine, though, is on stuff like Agrias turns, where you can bind him face up and then call him back out again, check 4, and then call something to the field, so you can refresh your field using Gyro Slinger. And for grade 2s, we have Spike Bouncer. One of the best cards on the deck, in my opinion. When he's placed, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, look at the same number of cards from the top of your deck as your Vanguard's grade. Call up to 1 card from them amongst the rearguard circle and put the rest on the bottom of your deck. So he kind of shares the same Gyro Slinger effect, except he's CB1 Soul Blast 1 rather than put a card into this soul, and also does not give power plus 5k. But since this is usually going to be your grade 2 ride, and as I was saying before, always Soul Blast out your Mecha Trainer. I've got him sitting over here somewhere. And that way you'll check 2, hopefully you'll get something like a Braki or a Juggernaut, so that you can just put some amazing offense on the opponent and just really gets your attacks going. And then on top of that, when he's on rearguard, at the end of the battle that he attacked, you can also CB1, put him into the soul, and draw a card. So he can also cycle himself into, let's say, more shield, or a new attacker for next turn. So Spike Bouncer just does it all in terms of advantage for this deck. He is amazing. And then, of course, we have 4 of the Bunny, high-speed Braki. When he is placed on rearguard circle only, he gets plus 10k. And at the beginning of the main phase, he shares the Wonder Boy ability, put him into soul, check your deck for a new one. So he deck thins and gets you another Braki that is going to be 20k during your next turn. It's not a whole lot to say here, just that he is an absolutely amazing beater. He's going to be 30k on a force circle, and your opponent is really going to be hurting to guard Braki. Finally, for grade 2s, we have 3 Treasure Black Panthers. When he attacks, you can Soul Blast 1 and activate one of the following 2 effects. He can either gain plus 5k or plus 15k, and if he does gain plus 15k at the end of the turn, put him into Soul. So this guy is as well another great target for a Force Gift Circle. You can usually either swing at them once for the low power and then bind it, and then swing at him again with like the huge power ability, or even stand him with Siegfried. Panther just puts out a ton of pressure by himself. And he can even hit all of the new Vanguards, even if they check or damage check a trigger. So just a really, really good beater card. And of course, we have, once again, back with the biggest of flex, Juggernaut Maximum. He shares the exact same ability as Braki, except now this man has a Force Gift, and he can be used on either Vanguard Circle or Rearguard Circle. And he gets his power plus 10k. And then his other ability, the exact same. You can put him back into Soul at the start of your main phase, and then grab another Juggernaut Maximum. Quite possibly the most disgusting beater of all time. This thing is just going to be 23k by himself for absolutely no reason. And then you can also get him to 33k, 43k off a Siegfried. And so this guy can just absolutely spiral out of control in terms of power. And of course, since this is a premium deck, one last thing to mention, even riding into him does not hurt that bad. It's only really when you're going first and end up just riding a Juggernaut and not being able to pull out that full Siegfried early grade 3 turn that it kind of hurts. That happened to me once when I was playing Spikes in the Mirror, that I ended up riding Juggernaut both times and was really hurting for putting in pressure that I could have had riding Siegfried. Which comes, of course, to our last grade 3 choice, which is 4 General Siegfried. And Siegfried says that you can CB1, put a rearguard into Soul, search your deck for the same copy of the card you just put in, and it gets 10k, and Siegfried gets plus 10k. So now your Juggernauts become 33k, your Brachis become 30k, Panther can become 20k, go up to 35k. He just makes everything absolutely huge. And then finally, you can, when he hits, Soul Blast 2, and stand one of your rearguards and retire one of your opponent's rearguards. So if you need to put, if you're getting rushed or something like that, you can always try to snipe one of their rearguards, CB2, or Soul Blast 2, stand one of your rearguards that you just attacked with, and kill the other rearguard on the other side of the field. So he can maintain some good control as well in this card. And then, of course, probably one of the biggest and most important things is that this man just provides you with a Force Gift to start getting your attacks going once you hit GB and are using your strides. Of course, we have our beautiful Seafried Force Gifts for this deck. And finally, the G-Zone. We have one Air Element Ractome. This is the Cycle G-Guard from one of the Fighters collections. Nothing too much to be said about that. If your hand is kind of bad, use it to cycle. Dismal, if you need to replace or have a really key rear guard that you need to stick around, and your opponent is trying to snipe something, always a good G-Guard to have. We have Juggernaut Maximum, the good old redundant name man himself. He gives plus 10k to one of your grade 2 or less rear guards, and then he gets plus 10k in shield because of it. And you send that card back to the back of your deck, or to the bottom of your deck. This is just okay. It's usually more there for flip fodder for, of course, our next big guy, which is King of Interference, Terrible Linus, which we run 3 of in this deck. He is the flip G-Guardian for spikes. And when he's placed, you may pay the cost, which is put one of your rear guards into soul. And if you do, he gets plus 10k for each of your 2 open circles. And so usually your play with this card is to use one and then use a second or a third just to accelerate yourself towards GB and get yourself all the way to Hellheart 8. And then of course it also just provides a lot of shield just in case you just need the shield as well. Certainly possible. And the good G-Guard for this deck, when it's placed on Guardian Circle, Hecaton Gassy, choose up to 3 cards from your drop zone or soul with different grades and put them on the bottom of your deck in any order. If you put 3 cards, this gets plus 10k until the end of the battle. So he's great for recycling. If you have stuff in your soul, you have charged too many Juggernauts or things like that, to start sending them back to the deck so you have new targets to be able to use for the next turn. So really great G-Guard for this deck. And then for Strides, Air Element Sea Breeze, it's still relevant. You definitely still want it in your deck, and sometimes with this deck, you don't have a whole lot of great stride targets if Agrius isn't your go-to play. So sometimes I just happen to go into a regular old Sea Breeze, which kind of sucked, but usually it was enough to get the job done, surprisingly, when you've been beating them down so hard. Zeroth Dragon of the End of the World, Dust. I personally did not use Dust one time this weekend. I think it could be useful, but it has so many niche circumstances that just never came up that I don't know how useful this card is going to be, and especially the new 10k triggers kind of suck for Dust. We have, of course, Temerarious Cataclysmic Rogue Hellheart 8, the GB8 for this deck. I don't think this one needs any explaining. He is the plus 10k game ender in this deck. If you have cycled or set up multiple Force Gifts, go into this guy and your opponent dies. I think this card needs no explanation. If you have looked at Living Proof's last match in ARG Nationals, you can see how powerful this card is for ending games. One great villain, Dirty Picaro. GB3, when he attacks the Vanguard, Counterblast 2, and choose a face-down card from your G-Zone and turn it face up, and choose a card from your hand and put it into your soul. Search your deck up to 1 card for each face-up card in your G-Zone, call it to the open rearguard circles, and shuffle your deck. So this guy, if you burned all your resources, is great to go into because he just replenishes your entire field. He is not as great in my deck as it would be in the Stands deck because you can call out multiple Mecha Instructors and get a combo going. But he still functions just perfectly fine in here. I know that I used him, I think, twice, and one of them was on stream to win the game using this card because I had just ditched all of my resources. And so this was the way to come back into the game and finish the things off. So a really, really great card. And then finally, probably the MVP of this deck is Blackhorn King Bullpower Agrius, which is CB1, choose a face-down card of himself, flip it face up. And when he attacks, you may pay the cost. Choose any number of your rear guards, bind them face up. If you bound 3, draw a card, and then you can choose up to 2 cards from your bind zone for every face up copy in your G zone, and call them to separate open rear guard circles. So this guy is your go-to your go-to first stride in this deck, and a large majority of the time, what I was just going to Agrius again. If they're not dead, is it time for Picaro or Hellheart 8? Because that's pretty much, it's very linear once you hit stride, I think, with this deck. You're just going to try to blow them out using this card or with the Hellheart or Picaro. And I think this guy, usually my game plan was just to finish them by the second Agrius because of the crits, that they were more than likely dead at this point. So, yeah, that was the very quick deck profile for Spike Brothers at Nationals. We're going to be going into detail my matches that I had. While there, I think I had one loss in Swiss, which was to Living Proof himself, who ended up winning. Congrats to the man, he definitely deserved it. And then one loss in top 8 to the OTT Gize player, who actually came in second place. And that was mostly just due to a string of bad luck. The man had Gize live on first ride, just through some absolutely amazing trigger checks. Didn't even need to use his scrying or anything. He just checked them like God. And then game 2 did basically the same thing, and then got the last one with a quick scry to 5, and then just burned me out again. But yeah, if you have any questions about the deck list, please leave them below. I don't think I would have changed anything in hindsight. The stands, while great, I don't think were the best for my matchup since I played so much Royal Paladin while at Nationals. But otherwise, I was really happy with the way the deck ran, and I think it is a really threatening force in Premium Vanguard going forward. So thanks everyone, and I will see you next time.